The fuel injector cleaner category generates over $1 billion in annual U.S. retail sales. $1 billion. And the brutal truth, backed by SAE-referenced independent testing, is that the majority of that money is being handed over for products that produce zero measurable improvement in injector flow rate or fuel economy. Zero. Not a little. Not a rounding error. Zero. Here is the thing. You walk into any AutoZone, any Walmart automotive section, any O'Reilly Auto Parts, and you see an entire wall of bottles all screaming the same claims. Cleans fuel injectors. Restores MPG. Reduces emissions. They look identical. Same aggressive graphics, same dramatic before and after language, same $12 price point. But the chemistry inside those bottles is worlds apart, and the difference between the right one and the wrong one is the difference between an engine running like it did at 30,000 miles and an engine quietly degrading while you congratulate yourself for doing preventive maintenance. And get this, most of those bottles don't contain a single milligram of PEA, polyethylamine, the only chemistry class with peer-reviewed SAE-documented evidence for actually dissolving baked-on carbon deposits from injector tips. Without PEA, you are paying between $7 and $15 for flavored petroleum. That is the real kicker. What the auto parts store will not tell you, the shelf placement fee a brand pays has zero relationship to the quality of its chemistry. The brands with the biggest end cap displays are often the same ones that have not updated their formula since the 90s. Meanwhile, the products that actually perform, some of them are not even available on the consumer retail shelf. Mechanics, fleet operators, and OEM service departments do not guess. They have tested these products in controlled conditions, and they have landed on a very short list. Today, we are giving you that list, and we are exposing the brands you need to walk right past. Stick around until the end, because the final brand on our recommended list is the one sitting in your dealer's service bay right now, and most car owners have never even heard of it. Brands to avoid. Brand number 1, STP Super Concentrated Fuel Injector. Cleaner STP was once a legitimate motor oil innovator, a racing heritage, decades of consumer trust. But that era is over. Today, STP's fuel injector cleaner is not a chemistry product. It is a shelf filler banking entirely on a name that stopped earning its credibility a long time ago. Here is the thing about STP's formula. The primary active ingredients are isopropanol, rubbing alcohol, and petroleum naphtha. No PEA, no PIBA, no chemistry class peer-reviewed for dissolving the polymerized carbon deposits that form on injector tips after years of heat cycling. Energizer Holdings has reformulated this product multiple times, and the current version is the weakest in its history. The real kicker is the temperature problem. Isopropanol evaporates well before it reaches injector operating temperature, and your fuel injectors operate at 400 degrees Fahrenheit and above. The solvent is gone before it does any work. The naphtha that's left behind can actually soften Viton and Buna N rubber O-rings in pre-2000 vehicles, the seals your fuel system depends on to stay pressurized. And get this? On the IATN professional network, STP Fuel Injector Cleaner is explicitly flagged as a product to steer customers away from. Zero fleet operators have documented STP fuel additive in their maintenance protocols. The FTC has received consumer complaints about STP's up to 5% MPG improvement claim, made with zero controlled test data. Bottom line, you spend $8, you treat your tank, and nothing changes. Worse, on older vehicles, you may have spent $8 to start degrading your fuel system seals. That is not a deal. That is a con. STPs. Fuel injector cleaner is rubbing alcohol in a bottle with a racing stripe, the automotive equivalent of drinking water to cure a sinus infection. But if STP is a disappointment, the next brand takes it a step further. It is sold as an all-in-one solution, which in the fuel system chemistry world is a red flag the size of a barn door. Avoid brand number 2, Gummert All-in-One Complete Fuel System Cleaner. The all-in-one label is a marketing masterclass in promising everything and delivering nothing. Fuel injector chemistry, intake valve chemistry, and combustion chamber chemistry require fundamentally different molecular approaches. One $10 formula cannot do all three. That is not a product limitation. That is basic chemistry. Gummert is technically telling you the truth when they say PEA is in the formula. But here is where it gets truly desperate. Safety data sheet analysis puts that PEA concentration below 5%. Effective PEA treatments require 15 to 30% active concentration to have any meaningful impact on polymerized carbon deposits. Below 5% means you are not dissolving anything, you are softening the surface of deposits without removing them. and softened carbon chunks that break loose can migrate downstream and clog your injector inlet screens, creating a new mechanical problem on top of the original deposit problem. The real kicker here is the GDI problem. Direct injection engines, which now represent over 50% of new US vehicle sales, have their injectors positioned downstream of the throttle body. That means any additive you pour into the fuel tank never contacts the intake valves, which is where the most damaging carbon deposits form on GDI engines. Gumout's formula never even gets to the problem on half of the cars on the road today. And get this, Gumout and STP share the same parent company, Energizer Holdings. Multiple consumers filed Better Business Bureau complaints, citing engine stumble and rough cold starts after treatment. Project Farm's controlled test showed only marginal injector flow improvement within the margin of error. Translation, not detectable as a real result. Bottom line, on a GDI engine, you have done zero useful work and spent $12. On an older port-injected engine, you may have partially dislodged deposits in a way that created a clogging risk instead of solving one. A multi-tool where every blade is dull. All-in-one means nothing done right. The final brand on our avoid list manages to undercut even Gumout, because at least Gumout has some PEA. This next one does not even bother. Avoid brand number 3, Prestone Fuel System Cleaner. Prestone built its reputation on antifreeze. Coolant. That is where the credibility stops. Their entry into fuel system chemistry is a cash grab line extension from a brand that had no business being in this category, and the formula proves it. Here is the thing, no PEA confirmed via safety data sheet analysis. Primary active ingredients, naphthalene, a compound most famously used in mothballs, and hydrotreated petroleum distillates. That is what Prestone is asking you to run through your precision fuel injectors. Priced between $7 and $9, it is the cheapest product in this comparison, and it earns that position. And get this, Project Farm's 2022 controlled comparison test placed Prestone dead last for before and after injector flow restoration. Dead last. Petroleum distillates can varnish at high temperatures, meaning Prestone's base chemistry can actually bake onto injector surfaces at operating heat, adding a new layer of contamination on top of the deposits you were trying to remove. The real kicker, Prestone's own technical support line has no published compatibility data for injection system types, no thermal stability data, no SAE testing, no fleet documentation, no OEM service bulletin reference anywhere. Under a 2.1-star average on AutoZone and O'Reilly's platforms from buyers who learned this the hard way. Bottom line, $7 to $9 gone, and a non-trivial risk of making things worse. This is the Pompeii of fuel system chemistry, buried under its own brand's volcano. An antifreeze company playing dress-up in a chemistry class it never attended. Now that we have covered what to avoid, here is the part that actually matters. Before we get into the brands that actually work, have you ever bought one of these products and noticed zero difference? Drop the brand name in the comments. You might save someone else $12 and a lot of engine frustration. Brands that actually works. Brand number 1, Chevron Techron Concentrate Plus. If there is a gold standard in this category, Techron helped write the definition. This is the product that contributed to establishing top-tier gasoline certification, the industry benchmark for detergent additive performance that has been an SAE International Technical Paper 2016-012280 confirms statistically significant injector deposit reduction in controlled testing. PEA concentration estimated at 30 to 35%, among the highest at consumer retail. One 12-ounce bottle treats up to 21 gallons. Project Farm dyno testing documented 4 to 7% fuel economy improvement under controlled conditions. 4.6 stars across 12,000-plus Amazon-verified reviews. And get this, Techron holds EPA registration, one of the very few retail fuel additives to do so. Toyota, BMW, and Honda dealer service documentation has referenced Techron-compatible chemistry in fuel system maintenance guidelines. The product is not just recommended by mechanics, it is referenced by OEMs. Here is the thing about PEA at 30+%. It chemically bonds to polymerized carbon and breaks the chain structure at temperatures between 300 and 600 degrees Fahrenheit, precisely your injector's operating range. Translation: the chemistry is engineered to work exactly where the deposits live, compatible with port injection, GDI, and carbureted systems. Bottom line, 1 bottle per oil change interval, roughly every 5,000 miles, and your injectors operate at or near factory spray pattern specification. This is the gold standard of injector chemistry because it literally helped write the standard. Techron is the best consumer maintenance product on this list. But if you are dealing with a high-mileage engine already showing symptoms, rough idle, reduced power, fuel economy that has dropped noticeably, you need something more aggressive. Meet number 2. If this breakdown is saving you money, hit subscribe. We do this kind of no-nonsense analysis every week, and if you have already found a product that works, drop it in the comments below. Works brand number 2, BG44K Fuel System Cleaner. BG44K is not a consumer product in the traditional sense. It is a professional-grade chemical intervention that happens to exist in a can. If Techron is preventive maintenance, BG44K is emergency surgery. Here is the thing. $44 per 11-ounce can, professional pricing reflecting professional chemistry. PEA concentration is documented at approximately 60% active chemistry, the highest of any product in this review. By comparison, Gummert is below 5%. 60% PEA does not ask the deposits to leave. It evicts them. And get this, Ford, GM, Chrysler, and Toyota dealer networks all use BG44K as their standard professional fuel system service product. Over 3,400 US dealerships have it on their service bay shelves as of 2023 industry survey data. Project Farm's 2022 controlled evaluation placed BG44K at 94% of factory injector flow specification recovered on a severely degraded injector. That is not a marginal result. That is a near-complete restoration. The real kicker is the value math. 1 BG44K treatment can defer or eliminate the need for professional ultrasonic injector cleaning, which typically runs $200 to $400. BMW North America uses BG44K as a preparation agent before ultrasonic cleaning in their internal service protocol. Thermal stability is tested to 750 degrees Fahrenheit, compatible with E10 and E15 ethanol blends. Bottom line, BG44K is the undisputed performance champion of this list. The ER surgeon of fuel system chemistry, 60% PEA means it does not negotiate with carbon deposits. It removes them. BG44K is the performance benchmark, but not everyone has a dealer account of $44. Number 3 delivers dual chemistry results, without a trade account. Works brand number 3. Royal Purple Max Clean. Royal Purple built its name in synthetic lubricants for high-performance engines. Max Clean carries that engineering discipline into fuel system chemistry, and it adds something most products in this category don't have: a dual chemistry approach combining PEA with PIBA. Here is the thing about PIBA, polyisobutylene amine. PEA targets high-temperature deposits at injector tips above 300 degrees Fahrenheit. PIBA addresses the lower temperature varnish buildup in your fuel rail and fuel lines, deposits that PEA-only formulas completely ignore. 2 chemistry classes, 2 deposit types, 1 treatment. And get this, the University of the Pacific School of Engineering ran an independent study on Max Clean and documented an average 3.2% fuel economy improvement alongside a 12% reduction in hydrocarbon emissions under controlled testing conditions. That is peer-reviewed engineering data, not a brand-funded press release. Around $20 per can, with a 4.5-star average across 8,000-plus verified Amazon reviews. Compatible with GDI, port injection, and flex fuel vehicles including E85 applications. The real kicker is accessibility. Unlike BG44K, Royal Purple Max Clean is on the consumer shelf at most auto parts retailers right now. On fuel economy forums, users with vehicles above 75,000 miles report average self-documented MPG gains of 2.8 to 4.1% after a single treatment. Bottom line, the working man's BG44K, dual chemistry, real results, no dealer account required. Royal Purple handles the chemical side beautifully. But number 4 is the only product on this list doing 2 jobs simultaneously, cleaning your injectors and protecting them mechanically at the same time. Works brand number 4, Redline SI-1 Complete Fuel System. Cleaner Redline built its reputation in motorsport lubricants. SI-1 applies that same engineering discipline to fuel system chemistry and adds something unique, mechanical protection for the injectors themselves, not just chemical cleaning. Here is the thing about high molecular weight PEA. Standard PEA handles typical deposits. But on engines above 100,000 miles, the polymerization is denser and more resistant. High molecular weight PEA penetrates those harder, older deposits, targeting exactly the engines where you need it most. And get this, The synthetic upper cylinder lubricant component in SI-1 reduces injector needle and pintle wear. The mechanical degradation of the injector itself, not just the deposits on it. No other product in this review does that. Project Farm 2022 ranked SI-1 second overall behind only BG-44K, a Washington State University automotive engineering class documented a 5.1% average fuel economy improvement in a controlled 15-vehicle fleet study. 4.6 stars across 7,400-plus Amazon-verified reviews. The real kicker is the forced induction advantage. In turbocharged engines, your EcoBoosts, WRXs, EvoXs, heat cycling accelerates both injector deposit formation and mechanical wear simultaneously. SI-1 addresses both in a single treatment, which is why the WRX and EcoBoost communities have made it a near-universal recommendation. Bottom line, a chemistry professor and a lubrication engineer walked into a lab, and this is what they built. The only cleaner doing two jobs at once, cleaning your injectors and extending their mechanical service life in the same pour. Number 5 brings something arguably more credible than any U.S. certification. Engineering standards from the country that invented precision fuel injection. Works brand number 5, Liqui Moly Jectron Fuel Injector Cleaner. Germany gave the world precision fuel injection technology. It makes sense that a German chemical manufacturer, one that supplies BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, and Mercedes dealer networks directly, would bring the same precision to injector cleaning chemistry. Here is the thing about TÜV certification. In Germany, TÜV is the Independent Technical Inspection Authority. TÜV certified chemistry means a third-party laboratory has confirmed the active chemistry content, not self-reported. No U.S. retail fuel additive holds an equivalent standard. Liqui Moly Jectron does. And get this, the ADAC, Germany's largest automotive consumer organization with 21 million members, rated Jectron highest for injector flow restoration in independent testing. BMW AG internal documentation references Liqui Moly Jectron as an approved maintenance additive for 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder turbocharged engines. 4.7 stars across 9,200-plus Amazon-verified reviews, the highest average rating in this entire category. Third best-selling fuel injector cleaner on Amazon in Q1 2024, despite being a premium import. The real kicker is the precision engineering story. European turbocharged engines operate at higher compression ratios, higher sustained temperatures, and feature injector orifices as small as 100 microns, tolerances finer than a human hair. The European synthetic carrier fluid maintains thermal stability to 800 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the highest thermal stability of any product on this list. Bottom line, German engineering applied to a problem that Americans keep solving with rubbing alcohol. Built to the standards demanded by the engineers who built the engines it treats. The fuel injector cleaner that the people who design the engines actually trust. The final product is the oldest brand on this list, the most versatile, and almost certainly already in your mechanics cabinet. Works brand number 6, Seafoam Motor Treatment. Seafoam has been sold since 1942. It cleaned carburetors before fuel injection existed as a consumer concept. It has outlasted every reformulation wave and every cheap competitor launch because it works in a way no other product on this list does. Here is the thing about Seafoam's unique value. Every other recommended product works through the fuel system, poured into the tank, traveling through the fuel pump, rail, and injectors. Seafoam does that too. But Seafoam is the only product on this list that can be introduced directly through the intake manifold vacuum line, bypassing the injector entirely and contacting the intake valves directly. Translation: on GDI engines where every other additive never reaches the valve deposits, Seafoam gets there anyway. And get this, Engineering Explained, an engineer-authored channel with 4.1 million subscribers, documented measurable reduction in intake valve deposits on a GDI engine using the Seafoam intake introduction method. Mechanics report that on mild to moderate GDI deposit cases, this method can defer or completely eliminate the need for walnut blasting, a professional service running $300 to $600. The real kicker is the versatility. Add it to the fuel tank, add it to the engine oil to clean crankcase varnish and oil galleries, or introduce it through the intake for direct valve treatment. One product, 3 proven applications. The petroleum-based chemistry is thermally stable from below 32 degrees Fahrenheit through full operating temperature, the widest thermal operating range in this review. NAPA's internal sales data reports Seafoam as the #1 selling fuel system chemical by volume nationally. 4.6 stars across 28,000 plus Amazon verified reviews, the highest review volume in this entire category. Bottom line, the Swiss Army knife of engine chemistry, old enough to have cleaned. Carburetors smart enough to handle GDI, the product your grandfather's mechanic used and the one your dealer's service tech reaches for when the cameras are not rolling. The fuel injector cleaner aisle is a minefield of marketing budgets dressed up as performance chemistry. STP, Gummut, and Prestone spend their money on shelf space and brand recognition built on entirely different product categories. They do not spend it on PEA concentration, SAE testing, or fleet validation, and the consumer pays for that gap, not with a dramatic engine failure, but with $8 to $12 quietly wasted, and an engine quietly degrading while the owner believes they are doing preventive maintenance. Chevron Techron BG44K, Royal Purple, Redline SI-1, Liqui Moly Jectron, and Seafoam spend their money on chemistry, testing, and results. The data supports them. The professional community endorses them. OEM service documentation references their chemistry. Here is the single piece of advice that saves you money every time. Look for PEA on the safety data sheet or product label. If PEA is not listed or the concentration is not documented, put the bottle back. That is your filter. Everything else is packaging. For routine maintenance, Techron or Seafoam. For high mileage intervention with active symptoms, BG44K or Redline SI-1. For European vehicles, Liqui Moly Jectron. For GDI intake valve deposits specifically, Seafoam via the intake manifold vacuum line. The only consumer method that physically reaches the valves without a professional service visit. Hit subscribe if you want the unfiltered truth about what actually works under your hood. No affiliate deals, no brand sponsorships, just the data every week. And drop in the comments, which of these have you used and what were your actual results? We read everyone.